All right, in this section, we're going to solve multi-step linear inequalities in one variable algebraically and represent the solution graphically. So here's a table describing everything. Less than, it's an open circle and it's shaded to the left. Greater than, it's an open circle and it's shaded to the right. Less than or equal to is a closed circle because it's or equal to and it's shaded to the left. And greater than or equal to is a closed circle shaded to the right. All right, and interval notation, which we've talked about that. Parentheses means it's not included. You will use them for less than, greater than, negative infinity, and infinity. Brackets means the number is included. You will use them for when it's a closed circle. First of all, let's investigate. After you multiply and divide by a negative solution, will your solution still be true? Okay, well, instead of saying x is less than 3, let's change this to a number less than 3. What's less than 3? Let's say 5. No, negative 5. Okay, let me say negative 5 right here. So I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 1. Negative 5 times negative 1 gives us positive 5. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. So is that less than negative 3? Is 5 less than negative 3? No, that is not true. Okay, no. So let's divide. Let's change this to negative 5 again. I like using that. Let's divide both sides by negative 1. We end up with 5 is less than negative 3. Well, that's not true either. So I guess the moral of my story is when you multiply or divide by a negative, you need to reverse your inequality because to make this true, it's going to be 5 is greater than negative 3. To make this one true, 5 is greater than negative 3. So when you multiply or divide by a negative, you need to reverse your inequality. And that's very important right there. Okay, so let's look at some examples. Solve the inequality, graph the solution, and write the solution in interval notation. In your solution, always make sure your variable is on the left. All right, for A, you're going to treat this the same way you would treat a regular equation. So x divided by 11 is greater than or equal to 10. So to get that x by itself, we need to multiply by 11. The 11's cancel. We have x, and we didn't multiply by a negative, is greater than or equal to 110. Okay, so let's go ahead and graph that first. So it's going to be a closed circle because it's greater than or equal to on 110. And it's going to be shaded to your right. So that would be like 111, 112, and so on. Now, when you're writing your interval notation, wait till after you have the graph fixed and up, because then you're going to do it exactly like the graph says. Read it left to right. Well, the first thing we come to is a point, and it's a closed circle, so that's going to be a bracket at 110, and it keeps going to infinity. So comma, infinity, and then parenthesis. Okay, I think that makes it a little bit simpler. B, m divided by 5 is less than or equal to negative 6/5. So I'm going to multiply once again both sides by 5. And I'm left with m is less than or equal to negative 6. Okay, so graphing that, I'm going to put a closed circle at negative 6. Okay, and this is negative 7, negative 8, negative 5, negative 4. And this arrow tells us which way we're going. So it's going to tell us we need to shade to the left. So it's right here. Okay, now once you get your graph, then you can make your interval notation. Okay, so it starts with negative infinity. So that's where we're going to start. Parentheses, negative infinity, comma, and then it stops at -6. And that's going to be a bracket because it's a closed circle. All right. Now for C, we need to distribute that -2. So I get -6 minus 2k is less than -44. Add 6 to both sides. -2k is less than -44 plus 6 is going to be -38. Okay, then to get that k by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by 2. Not just 2, but -2. And I have k, and negative divided by a negative is a positive 19. And since I divided by a negative, I'm going to reverse my inequality. K is greater than 19. So here's 19, here's 18, here's 17, 20, and 21. Okay, so since it's a greater than, it's going to be an open circle on 19, and it's going to go to the right, exactly where the arrow is pointing. Okay, now when you write your interval notation, read your graph left to right. The first thing we come to is an open circle. Open circle means parentheses at 19, comma, and it keeps going to infinity. So I'm just going to put infinity parenthesis. All right. Now for D. So I want to solve for that x. So first thing I want to do is subtract 1 from both sides. 5 minus 1 is 4. So 4 is greater than or equal to x over 5. Okay, so to get that x by itself, I'm going to multiply both sides by 5. And I get 20 is greater than or equal to x. Now when you write this, you always want your x to come first. So I'm going to rewrite this as x is less than or equal to 20. Okay, and so that means when I go to label my number line, I'm going to put a 20, 19, 18, 21, and 22. Since it's less than or equal to, it's a closed circle right here, and that arrow tells us it's shading this way. So I'm going to draw my line this way because it can be any number on that line. That's what it's telling me. So reading your graph left to write your interval notation, it's an arrow. Oh, we don't know the endpoint. We don't know an exact number. So it's going to be parentheses, negative infinity, comma, 20. And that 20 is a closed circle, so it'll be a bracket. All right. Now for E. Oh, my eye itches. Sorry. Now for E, we're going to start out by distributing that -5. And I have -5v minus 5 is less than -20v minus 5. All right. Then I'm going to add 20 to both sides. And I get 15v minus 5 is less than -5. I'm just going to slide this up here so we can see it a little better. 15v minus 5 is less than -5. So add 5 to both sides. And we have 15v is less than 0. Divide by 15. and V is less than 0. Okay, so V is going to be any number less than 0. So I'm just going to start my number line. -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And it's an open circle on 0, and the arrow tells us it's going this way. So reading your graph left to right is going to be parenthesis -infinity, comma, 0, and it's an open circle, so it's a parenthesis. Now remember, if you have any questions, please be sure to write those down on your notes as you're taking them and watching the video. That way you can email us, ask us, whatever, next time we're in session. Thank you.